Welcome into Patriots postgame show here on CLNS Media. We're both kind of speechless. Mike Kadlick here from CLNS, joined by Brian Hines from Pat's Pulpit, filling in for Alex Barth from 98.5 The Sports Hub. We are going to break down what the hell just happened out in Vegas as the Patriots lose 30-24 to the Raiders on a walk-off Chandler Jones fumble return touchdown on a play that I tweeted it out. I feel like a lot of people have said it at this point, Brian, but it sums up their entire season as to what the hell just happened. So initial thoughts as to what that was, where this game goes. But yeah, what do you got?
I don't even know. I don't know what to say. I've never seen anything like that. It's like you just said it. It's like they didn't know the game was tied.
Right.
That's not a play you make in that situation. And I mean, I guess trying to draw there, even that was a weird thing. I mean,
It's bizarre.
See what you're doing. Like, they're a bad tackling team. Ramondre's had a good game, but the laterals are unbelievable. And just, I don't know what to say. And
I know
we should have been having this conversation about the touchdown it was clearly not a touchdown that the Raiders scored, and now they don't get to complain about that because the way just blew that.
It's a good point. Yeah, again, the Pats up by 7 with less than 2 minutes to go. They give the Raiders the ball back.
Yeah.
Derek Carr goes down and dices them up a little bit. The Patriots played relatively well against this Raiders pass offense for most of the game. The pass rush got after Derek Carr, but again, they go down, they score that touchdown, which was not a touchdown. The refs let the play stand. Keelan Cole tied the game, so that was bizarre. But yeah, like we said, just reacting to that play once again. In those situations, when a game is tied at the end of the game with a minute and change left, so many times we've seen this Patriots team just sit on it and play for overtime. And as media and as fans, you always hear people complain. Why aren't they trying to go get 3? They could go get 3 here. They have the choice, and the Patriots play conservative and they play soft. The one time they try and not play soft, it completely bites them in the ass. And again, it felt like in the moment, Jacoby Myers had no idea, or Ramondre even had no idea that the game was tied. It was like they thought they had to win it right then and there. Jacoby has already spoken after the game. Let me pull up those, but
yeah,
he basically
very, very accountable. From the reporters that are there, it said he had some tears in his eyes. He obviously took all the blame. He wouldn't let Ramondre or any of the coaches speak of it. So, I mean, it clearly doesn't sound like something that was discussed like in the huddle or like something they said, let's lateral the ball. It just a mental lapse, and he tried to make a place. I think he said I was trying to be a hero or something. And
yeah, disaster. And it sums up this team perfectly. And I'm still reading the quotes as they come into. Mac Jones is at the podium as we speak here. Of course he takes the blame. Mac says, I've got to tackle that guy. It's on me. It's my fault. I've got to tackle him, and we play for overtime. Calls Jacoby one of the best teammates he's ever had. Again, Jacoby, stand-up guy, leader of the team. I have a hard time. I mean, it was a bonehead play. I have a hard time harping on Jacoby because he's been so important to this team all season long, but can't happen. And I can't believe Mac Jones is trying to take the blame here on that. I mean,
should have tackled that guy. That's line.
Right. Mac Jones is the last line of defense, and Chandler Jones, all 6'5" and 2 chain, whatever he is, barreling after you. But yeah, tough loss. So again, lose 30-24. Patriots, they were 7-6. They fall to 7-7. They were holding on to a playoff spot prior coming into this game, and they now fall out of it. They controlled their own destiny, and they lose to the Raiders. Outside of, I guess, the last play of the game, which I know that's so fresh in our mind, and it's again, like you said, you want to break down the other parts of this game, so let's try and do that. I guess I have some takeaways, but and I'll give you the floor first as our new another thing. What a perfect intro to Pat's postgame on CLNS for Brian Hines, who gets to break this one down with us. So but any takeaways from that one outside of the disaster at the end?
I mean, like, you kind of got on. The defense played well for most of the game. The pass rush, Uche, Barmore back was, his presence was felt. Even, I mean, what they held Devontae to like 20 something yards, right?
Yeah,
I don't
Devontae
have
played.
the
Yeah, he wasn't great. Yeah,
but
they go ahead.
so, I mean, then Duggar, the pick six, I mean, that was a unbelievable play and read on him. So, I mean, it was good defensively, offensively. I mean, it was just kinda what we've been just slugging along here, just going through the
Right.
motions. I didn't have I thought they'd throw the ball more, but, they had a lot of success running the ball. I mean,
Yeah, they did.
Stevenson had, like, 130 yards, I believe, so,
He ended up finishing with 172 on the ground.
because yeah, he got, like,
So
30 that last play before.
yeah,
But,
yeah. Kudos to him, right?
yeah, I mean, when they needed a score, they went to their big guns. They hit
Yep.
Jacoby finally on that play down the seam, and then Mondre had the big run. Then Jacoby with the 2-point conversion.
Right.
I thought they had it watching live. There were a lot of RPOs. I thought
Yeah,
so. More of that's always good, but I mean, yeah, it's all overshadowed by that one play, which I
it
still am
is.
just
I'm in
wow.
shock. It's tough. Yeah, I mean, crazy. Talking about sort of the RPO game with the offense, and it's it's tough to give them credit for it in my eyes because they've waited so long to do it. We're at week 15, but they're sort of starting to, I feel like, throw some more wrinkles into the offense, right?
Mm,
Like we saw the Marcus Jones package come out a couple weeks ago. I actually referenced your tweet from last week on Pat's beat with Alex last week, talking about just the orbit motions they're running, and then they ran an RPO off of it. So
yeah,
we saw a little bit more of that creativity this week. Running 21 personnel, you had two backs with Ramondre and Pierre Strong out there using strong in motion and kind of just using your speed either to their advantage or as sort of a decoy in there. And I mean, it seemed to work well in at points, but I mean, Mac completed only 13 of 31 attempts for just 112 yards in the air. I try and I do continue to defend Mac Jones because I don't think he's a bad quarterback, and I really think he's been screwed by, frankly, Bill Belichick and
everything.
the stuff, yeah, everything that's around him. But at the same time, you do kind of have to stop, I guess, whining at some point and just try and play ball and get it together. And if outside of the mishaps today, he wasn't great today either. And
Yeah,
they
I
were
don't
down
think he was
seven.
great.
Yeah, they were down 17-3. They come back and tie it and all that, but. He's still, I think he needs to be better at times as well.
Yeah, he missed the first miss to I think it was Jacoby, the first miss up the seam, that was bad.
Yeah,
The ones to Aguilar and Henry back to back late in the game, they were catchable, they should have been caught, but I think the one to
right.
Aguilar was a little underthrown, the one to Henry was behind them. Again, yeah, I didn't think he was great, and on your other point with, like, Pierce Strong, like, it's good, get these fast guys on the field, and we wanna give them credit, but like, I don't think we can. Like, they clearly had no intention of playing Pierre Strong on offense this season until Damian Harris goes down and Ramondre Stevenson goes down, and it
Totally.
works. Like, we've been yelling about this all year long that you can't play Ramondre at a 90% clip and
Right.
get these fast guys on the field. And I thought that, like, even I like mixing and matching the receivers. That was always a thing. Like, they don't have the alpha dog, but they have a good group with different skill sets. So mix and match these guys. I thought it was like all Nelson Aguilar today. Like they didn't really use Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah,
They didn't really even use the Marcus Jones package until on the goal line, which that whole situation was a mess too. They had
yeah,
first and goal on like the 2 yard line and they
yep.
dropped shotgun immediately with Marcus. That just felt like they were overthinking things and it just they have the Jonnu Smith false start. That Mac missed a ball to Jonnu too, and that was just overthinking at its finest, which has been another issue. Just undisciplined, negative plays. It's all
Yep.
the same stuff that just keeps popping back up, and a lot of it can be traced back to
It's stuff
coaching.
that's it can be traced back to coaching. It's stuff that's like so fixable, and it's stuff that, frankly, it's happened all season. It's stuff that you have to, get in the. It's like get in the lab and just fix it and work on it all week. And for some reason, it's like they don't. I don't know what. You said it comes back to coaching, and just as far as discipline goes, I thought the Raiders shot themselves in the foot a lot today
Oh,
too.
they had a ton of
Um,
penalties, and they definitely helped Patriots' cause. They were backing up all game, but yeah.
And even, I mean, one of the Raiders' penalties on Jacoby in the end zone, that's what gave them 1st and goal at the 2.
Yeah.
And they completely botch it. They called 2 timeouts from there. It was at the end of the 1st quarter, I think, at the beginning of the 2nd maybe, but they're blowing 2 timeouts. So much so that they blow those timeouts early, and then later in the half, it's like they had to take a false start, or not a false start. They had to take a delay game because they didn't
Like,
want to burn another timeout in that situation. Mac then misses, like you said, Mac missed Jono in the back of the end zone. They tried to run the sneak, and yeah, the false start on Jono. It's like it's mistakes that they can so like it feels like they can so easily clean up, and they just continue to not be able to
like
do
you
so.
said at the start, it's just stuff we're so used to them doing correctly over the last 20 years, and they're just not doing it. And like communication, like how many communication issues, like on the blocked punt, they literally snapped the ball and the guys weren't ready to play. And
Right.
you can kind of do the same thing on the sneak with Janu was lining up and Mac just went. So it's not great.
No, it's not. And so, do you give these guys a chance to even make the postseason, Brian? I mean, I don't know exactly where what it looks like right now. I think LA did end up winning this
They
afternoon,
won, yeah.
so they are now in the 7 seed, with the Jets loss as well. So the Patriots don't have they have a hard road ahead here. They finish up with what is Cincinnati, Miami, and Buffalo.
Buffalo.
So 3 games that they could easily lose and finish this thing off at 7-10. I answered my own question for you. I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs.
I hate to say like never because it's the NFL and like
It
it
is.
is so hard to win. Like, I mean, Kansas City was going down to the bone with Houston today. Like stuff just
Right.
happens, but it is tough seeing Cincinnati, Miami, Buffalo, and just saying how are they going to. I mean, you need to win all 3 if you'd like to really get in, and then if you want
Right.
outside help, you got to win 2. And just the offense, it's just unless the wind's howling and Tua Tua in the cold,
Yeah.
it's just like
Right.
you need outside factors to help you, and that's just not a good thing to be relying on at this
Yeah.
point.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to rely on that. You want to be able to control your own destiny, and they did that today, and they had that in their back pocket, and they just couldn't do it. Talking on the offense too, just as I look over my notes here and figure out what else to talk about besides Chandler Jones. Them using again, it's on them, and it's something that they should have done beforehand, and it's like something they've had to do because of injuries to Parker and Jacoby being banged up. But they used Taekwon a little bit more today,
Mhm.
and he's shown that he's a smart receiver, I think, and he's not just a guy with just a skill set, which I think is something that's happened here in the past. You just draft a guy strictly on skill set, like N'Keal Harry, for example, and he was a train wreck. Taekwon Thornton, there was one deep dig that he ran, and I thought not only he was able to separate with his speed, but he also read the coverage perfectly and didn't just not so many guys, but a guy who isn't smart as a receiver really will just break that off and just run regardless of the coverage. But he throttled down, let Mac throw it to him, and it seems like they have a little bit of chemistry going on here. Obviously, they should be able to use it. They should use a guy like that more, incorporate him in those RPO orbit motion type things, and it's good to have Pierre Strong do it, and it was good to have Marcus Jones do it. But I feel like Taekwon's got to be their guy for that. No,
Yeah, I mean, he's 4.28, like, speed
right?
is good, like, speed we like speed. Speed makes things
Li-
better, it makes you more
Literally,
explosive. The whole thing this offseason was, "Let's get more athletes and let's dumb this thing down so we can play faster," and,
right,
I mean, whether that's worked or not is a whole another thing, but, get the fast guys on the field, good things tend to happen, and, yeah, they need him. If they can keep getting Thornton more involved over these last few weeks, that would be big for them, and just see what they have more in him because again, we want to give them credit, but they for using him, but they're
right. It
not.
was like they were backed into it. It's like they were
Yeah.
backed into it. Um, do you have a player of the game for the Patriots? I have a player of the game, and it's Chandler freaking Jones. But a player of the game for the Patriots today. Did anyone stand out above the rest of you?
I guess I'd go with Kyle Duggar. I mean, just because that play he made he was just at the podium. I was reading. He said he did see something in film that he picked up
Okay.
on. I mean, he must have because the way he closed and read that was unfreaking believable, and then tipped it up, intercepted it. He got him back in the game. That's what this defense does. It just gives them life really, and drags this offense, drags their corpse along with them. But so
Yeah.
I'd go with Duggar just for that play. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, I think so too. And something that me and Alex have talked about on here, and it's kind of been a theme for the defense, is when Kyle Duggar's not either in the game or directly covering the tight end, they struggle to cover them. But when he's on them, I think he held Hawkinson in the first matchup with Lions to like one catch for 4 yards or something absurd like that. And Darren Waller obviously has that long touchdown on the scene, but it wasn't him; it was Adrian Phillips on him, and Phillips sort of got dusted by him. But I mean, no, Duggar's been like an elite safety this year. He's just dominant. He seems to always be in the right place at the right time. I tweeted it sort of mimicking, what the Patriots weren't doing this week, and it was game planning on offense, and all they were doing is making sure they knew where Derek Carr was going with the ball. And Kyle Duggar, again, he read it perfectly. He was like, as soon as he saw what formation they were in and sort of basically where Derek Carr caught as soon as he caught the ball and he looked, Duggar was there immediately, takes it to the house. And that's what they've done all season. This defense is just keeping the offense afloat. And even more so than that, right? I mean, keeping them afloat would be just getting stops, but they've like actively scored touchdowns for this team. Duggar did it against the Lions. Raekwon did it, and it's so hard I feel like as a defender, it's so hard to continue to make these plays week in and week out. And like we said, keep them afloat, and they continue to do it. And I mean, it's good stuff, but it's so frustrating to see it happen and then see what the offense does. This is such a Debbie Downer show, but I mean,
how could you
after what just happened, it's hard to take anything good away from this game, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw a tweet that the defense is the leading scorer this year now. They have 6 touchdowns, I believe. Or maybe it was defense and special teams too, but I think it was Ramondre had 5, and now the defense has 6. So yeah, they're doing the best, and it's got to be kind of like mentally draining when you're, you just but it's like the 2000. I think it was the 2019 team that they're like, we just have to be perfect all the time because the offense, like,
right,
you give up 20 points, it's not going to look good. And I think it might have been Phil Perry mentioned that after the Bills game that, the offensive issues are kind of starting to linger and piss some of the defensive guys off.
right.
So that's definitely draining. But yeah, Duggar's been really good. You definitely notice when he's not on the field.
Right.
And I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch the Waller touchdown. I don't know if he was even out there, but that's not like a match that Adrian Phillips should be in. Like, that's Darren Waller's built for Kyle Duggar, like, and vice versa. Like, so I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch what happened there, but yeah, that was a mismatch that they were able to capitalize on.
Yeah. So just going back to, we just got an email from Patriots PR, and we have the transcript with Mike Reese, who was the Patriots pool reporter, to speak with the officiating crew after the game, and sort of touching on the Keelan Cole touchdown that clearly wasn't a touchdown, but the referees didn't overturn anyway. I'll just read that, to kind of give a sense of what Reese wanted to get. And so he asked Walt Anderson, the NFL senior vice president of officiating, how did you determine that was a touchdown catch by Keelan Cole in the fourth quarter? Anderson said, the ruling on the field was a touchdown. He's answering questions like Bill Belichick. Reese followed up and said, in replay review, it appeared the receiver's left foot was on the white. Was that not visible in replay? Anderson said, we looked at every available angle, and it was not clear and obvious that the foot was on the white. It was very tight, very close. There was no shot that we could see. We even enhanced and blew up the views that we had. There was nothing that was clear and obvious that his foot was touching the white. Reese then said, did you have it down the sideline angle to aid your review? Anderson said, no, we did not. Probably the best view was what we term a high end zone view. TV gave us the most enhanced view that they had as well. We blew it up, and I believe TV blew it up, and there was nothing that was clear and obvious either way. Had the ruling on the field been incomplete, we would not have been able to change that either. So Anderson sort of sticking to their guns. They didn't say they made a mistake, saying that it was not clear and obvious. I still don't buy it, Brian. I think that there was
zero. Every angle we saw, the foot was on the boundary. It makes no sense. And I have this up what you just read, and unless there was an angle that we didn't see on TV, which he says the best view we got was the high end zone view that TV gave us. So I'm guessing that was the one, from up above that we were seeing. And the
Right.
foot's clearly on the boundary. It's like, what are we doing here? It really cost the Patriots the game. Again, I don't want to complain about it because after what
I know.
happened after it, but yeah, it wasn't a touchdown, and we saw like yesterday in the Minnesota game, they ruled like 2 fumble, 6 recoveries blown dead earlier, and Minnesota was able to recover, but it's like, yeah, I don't get it. It was I don't get that. I don't get the last play still.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't
Again,
everything we saw
bef-
was not a touchdown.
right. Before we finish this up, I usually try and be rather enthusiastic, with our ad reads, and kind of get it going and interpret, link it into what happened in the game. But nothing good here. But I'm gonna quickly want to touch on our friends at Rocket Money. Brian, do you know how much your subscriptions really cost? You probably don't, as nearly 80% of people have subscriptions that they completely forget about. Most Americans think that they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions, when the actual total is closer to 200 or more. It could be that unused Amazon Prime account or a Hulu account that never gets streamed. It's probably not your NFL Plus account, which has the All 22, and probably would have decided or been able to show you that Keelan Cole's foot was out of bounds. But I digress. You could be wasting hundreds of dollars each month on subscriptions you don't even know about. I don't do that anymore, though, because of this app I love using that takes care of it all. It's called Rocket Money, which used to be known as Truebill. The app shows all of your subscriptions in one place and then cancels whatever subscriptions you still don't want. Rocket Money can even find subscriptions you didn't know you were paying for. You may even find out you were double charged for a subscription. To cancel a subscription, all you have to do is press cancel, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Get rid of useless subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Go to rocketmoney.com/PatsBeat. It could literally save you hundreds per year. That's rocketmoney.com/PatsBeat. Cancel your unnecessary subscriptions right now at rocketmoney.com/PatsBeat. Back to the disaster class. That was the Patriots' loss to the Raiders today. Um, Again, you're right, and I agree with you about trying not to. I mean, I try not to complain about the referees anyway, because it happens every single week, and you never know what you're going to get with them, and it's tough to put a win or a loss on that. So let's kind of think about it in another way. Let's say Keelan Cole did get his foot down. Marcus Jones wasn't great on that last drive. He kind of got toasted a few times. He did, however, have a solid game the rest of the way. He covered up Devontae Adams really well, I thought. Again, Devontae only had 4 catches for, I think, 20-something yards. He continues to just be a playmaker. He flipped the field for them a few times as well in the punt return and kick return game. What do you see from Marcus? He just continues to impress.
Yeah, he was really good from watching it live for the first time, and they needed him
Yeah,
to without, Mills down and Jack Jones is down, and the fact that he's, playing along the boundary too like that
right,
is impressive, and I think, it's tough to tell with the TV view, but I think they were
right.
giving him some help on, like, 3rd downs with Devontae, but still, when you're matched up against Devontae Adams for the majority of the game and you hold him to 4 catches, that's pretty good work, so good stuff from him. I don't did it feel like that last Raiders drive, they kinda went to, like, this prevent defense type of thing? Like,
Totally.
again, tough to tell on the TV view, but it felt like they were, like, just letting them get up, like, chunk gains,
It felt
which
like they were, like you said, chunk gains, and it felt like, I mean, granted, you're playing prevent, so you don't have like an extra rusher in there, but even the pass rush wasn't great on the last drive, and I mean that was their bread and butter all game, and
and that's
they
your time to pin your ears back and go, right?
right,
Like, there's no threat of anything besides they're throwing the ball, go get them, and
right.
yeah, it was
I mean,
just
it's one thing to play that way, against a guy like Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields,
no.
but I mean, Derek Carr's not going to be a threat to take off anytime soon. So yeah, not good. They also sort of they seem to get gashed in the run game today on defense. The pass defense was solid, but Josh Jacobs was pretty good. He had 22 carries for 93 yards. He didn't score, but it just seemed like they sort of allowed him to get 4 or 5 yards a carry every single time. He didn't really break loose, which I guess was good. They've done a good job of that throughout the season, sort of just containing running backs and not allowing guys to break free. But I guess I didn't like what I saw too much from their run defense today.
Yeah, I thought they were better in the second half.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was getting 5-6 yards a clip, and it'd be interesting to go back and see how if they change, because they opened with a lighter box to account for
Right.
Devontae Adams, which is how most teams have been playing Vegas this year, and it's part of the reason why Jacobs has so much success. So I don't know if they kind of ditched some of those too high safety looks and brought another guy in the box in the second half, because I think he had like under 20 yards in the second half. So
Yeah.
better, yeah. Early on, he was kind of getting 5-6 yards just every time he touched the ball. So
I feel like McDaniels has done that all season long, and it's sort of why they've blown so many leads down the stretch, because they have the run game going and they're up, 14 like they were tonight, and then it seems like they just abandoned Josh Jacobs, who led the league in rushing prior to today anyway, and he's sort of been their bell cow and just continuously helped them move the ball, and they go away from it. It's like I don't understand why McDaniels does that, and it's something that it could be his detriment as a head coach eventually. I mean, again, they won today, so they're 6-8. I guess they're still fighting as well. And again, there's all this stuff around Mark Davis doesn't have any more cash, so they can't really fire him and things like that. But well, where are you on that? I guess let's get your opinion on Josh McDaniels. Do you think he deserves to still be the coach there? Do you think he'll end up getting fired? What's your take on McDaniels in LA and Vegas rather?
I don't think he'll get fired just because the whole Ziegler thing, the Ziegler
Right.
relationship. I don't think they'd cut ties after a year. It clearly hasn't gone great with blowing the leads, but I think he'll be back next year, and it'd be interesting. I think like Derek Carr could be. There's been rumors that they could move on from him, so that would be. I think it could be Carr before
Yeah.
McDaniels, but we'll see where that goes, because
Yeah,
they
we'll
did
see where that goes.
hate him, right?
They did just pay him, so I mean, I don't know if it's a tradable contract, sort of
Yeah.
like a
I
something
don't think there's much guaranteed money, so I think they can get out of it actually.
right.
But yeah, they did sign him to an extension, so we'll see with that.
That would be something too, right? Like a guy who, I mean, McDaniels comes in, takes on Derek Carr. Again, kind of strange that the Ziegler McDaniels sort of administration, if you will, signed him to the extension, and it wasn't the guys beforehand. But
Mhm.
you wonder if he'd just kind of rather have his own guy in there that he can mold and mesh, something like he did with Mac Jones for a year. And I mean, he kind of was able to do that with Brady as well, because they came up together and they sort of made it their own. But let's two question marks moving forward, and then we'll go around the NFL and we'll wrap this thing up. I have my biggest question mark, sort of, I guess, question mark / takeaway is just that something needs to change now, and I don't know why it hasn't yet. And today was sort of the epitome of it all, because I understand on one hand the idea that, okay, let's just move forward with what we've got. Let's let Matty P kind of get us through the end of the season, make our adjustments, but let's not try and completely overhaul this thing 10 weeks in, because that can get even more confusing. It could get even worse and it could spiral. But at the same time, man, you come into this game and you're 7-6 and you are in the driver's seat and you control your own destiny. And it's almost like Bill and these guys, they don't even care to want to, change this thing over and get themselves into the postseason and change things, get it done, because you have this strong defense and you have playmakers on offense. You saw it today with Jacoby and Ramondre. When Mac Jones has the right tools around him and the right setup and sort of play calling system, he can succeed. And I just don't understand why Belichick hasn't said, okay, look, we can make it to the postseason, and if things do change, we might be able to make a little run here, because you really never know what happens when you get to the playoffs. And I just think at this point, maybe if they won today, it would change things. If they were 8-6 and still sitting in that spot, it would have been like, look, we're gonna change this thing over. I'm gonna take the reins. I mean, I don't know how good Bill would be at calling an offense on his own, but it has to be better than what he's allowing Matt Patricia to do. I get that Bill's probably in his ear and Judge's ear the whole time, but it really feels like the Matt Patricia operation, because I don't think Belichick would let the complete mismanagement that's happened so far get this out of hand. I mean, just putting a bow on that, the fact that it's gone this far and nothing has changed, it's an indictment on what Bill's done this season, and it's got to change sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's almost like there's just nothing to lose at this point, right?
I
Like,
know.
why not see even if you just let Joe Judge maybe call the plays,
Right.
right? Just try something new here down the stretch to see just see what you got. Like, I don't think
Right.
they clearly don't wanna give Nick Caley play calling abilities for
Which I
whatever
don't know
reason,
why.
which
Yeah.
I don't know if it'd be interesting to know if he's still in charge of, like, the red zone work
Right.
because, they split up duties like that for the positional coaches, and I forget who left. Someone left a few years ago, and they said it was going to Caley, so I don't know if he's still doing that, how that's split up, but,
Right.
yeah, they clearly don't want him to do that for whatever reason. So, yeah, I don't know. They're not gonna blow it up over the next 3 weeks,
I
but,
know. But I
um,
wish they would.
yeah, again, you don't have anything to lose, and
Right.
I would at least let, Joe Judge do it and see if that changes. Just see how it
Right.
looks, because
Right.
why not?
At this point, you have nothing to lose, right? I mean, you can't get worse from here. You need things to go your way, or you need other things outside of your control to go your way anyway, with teams losing ahead of you and things like that. So, in a position where, and it's not how they think, and this isn't the way it will happen, but this is sort of what we think will happen, right? Is that, or what we think they should do rather? Why not in these next 3 games that you have? Give these guys a tryout so that you don't have to do another tryout next season when it matters again. Like, do your in-house tryouts now. Heck, give Troy Brown the play sheet for 3 drives in a row. See what he can do. Shit, Deion Branch just coached it, and again, it doesn't. It's different. Deion Branch is not in a coaching position, but I got nothing at this point, Brian, and I'm just kind of going at what the heck they've done on offense. But I mean, give Troy Brown the play sheet for a few drives. Give it to Caley. Give it to Joe Judge. Just see what you've got in house before you make out of house decisions later this offseason.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much.
Any question marks on your end outside of the play calling?
I mean, I just wonder if, like, this is kind of the tipping point where maybe some guys start to kind of clock out because
Yeah.
we haven't seen that.
Right.
These guys, even through these struggles, these guys, you can tell they still care. They're still, they're taking it upon themselves to ask the coaches to do more, like they
Right.
care. They want to turn this around, but 7-7, you're out of the playoff spot. You lose like that.
Right.
I wonder if in the schedule coming up too, I wonder if,
Totally.
you might start seeing some of that. So that's my kind of big takeaway here, going down the stretch.
Yeah. I'm with you. Again, it's like, it's one thing to lose, on a game-winning touchdown drive, and your defense doesn't put it together, and heck, even someone gets burnt off the line in Moss for a touchdown, right? Like, those are heartbreaking in themselves. But the way this happened here with, again, like we said, I mean, a a play where it looked like they didn't even it looked like they thought they needed the win in that position, when this team has always played so conservative, and finally they just try and let it rip, and he throws the ball backwards to Mac, and it's like no one has any idea what they're doing. And again, it's too bad. It's a disaster, and I'm with you. This would be the tipping point for me if I was in that locker room. I mean, they're not putting us in the best position to win, and I'd be curious too what the play call was there, because you see Patricia on the sideline sort of clapping it up as if, like, lateral the ball, and it's like, why? What are we doing here? It's too bad.
Yeah,
Let's
Bill wouldn't talk about that. I was reading some of his stuff. He just said they didn't basically said he didn't execute the play, and they're just shooting themselves in the foot too much. So
Yeah,
I wonder what was going on, if there
I
was
know.
talk about that, or if it really was just Jacoby trying to play hero ball.
Yeah. Again, it's one thing to, like, sort of to go against the locker room buying out type thing. And not that there's anyone in there that it would be in a better situation, but like Jacoby's a guy who, I mean, clearly he's one of their leaders. And so, again, I'm reading McCourty's quote here, and he just says, Jacoby is as close to a team captain as we have. He leads us in reception and crack back blocks. just praising his leadership and his work ethic. So it almost could again be sort of a rallying cry for them too, because like, look, Jacoby made a mistake. We're not gonna throw this thing in the trash because of what he did. So that's, again, I don't know. It's tough. It was tough. It was really tough. A game that you had a lead. You could have won, and you could have stuck in the playoff picture, and you didn't.
And
Let's
credit,
just
I mean, in
go
credit because they haven't clocked out yet. I want
right.
they easily could have after, you know, losing back-to-back primetime games, losing like that to the Bills, even some of those games before. Like they easily could have checked out, but they haven't. But after this is something else. Like this is worse than the Miami Miracle.
Right.
So
I see
that
people calling it the Las Vegas lateral.
yeah. So
Ridiculous.
yeah, so that's we'll see how they kind of respond to that, and maybe they do rally around it if they can, but I don't know.
It was just one of the. What a day for sports, right? I mean, you watched the World Cup this morning, an outstanding literally one of the best sporting events we've seen in the last 25. It's one of the best sporting events ever, frankly. The Argentina's winning the World Cup. Then you see this disaster. You see what again? You're still talking about the Miami Miracle to this day. This was worse than that. This is something that tops that, and we'll be talking about this forever. Chandler Jones, how poetic against his former team as well. Just a disaster. But let's go around the NFL, talk about a little bit what happened today, and then we'll put a bow on this Patriots game. I don't know. Were you a Red Zone earlier this morning? Were you able to check out Red Zone before the game?
I caught like the most of the first halves of the game, and then the last like 20 minutes. There was a stretch where
Yeah,
had some stuff to do, but I got most of it. The
Cow.
405 starts too terrible.
Yeah,
I don't know why that's a thing. Like Patriots come on and there's like 3 games that are coming down to the wire, and
yep,
that was a mess. So, but yeah, I caught most of it.
yeah. So the game that I'm looking at, that was just Cowboys Jaguars. Cowboys had a massive lead. Jacksonville comes back all the way. That was another ending to a game similar to this one, where it was just like heartbreak for Dallas.
Mhm.
Dallas again has a huge lead. Trevor Lawrence 318 and 4 touchdowns in this game, brings them back. I think Zay Jones had 3 touchdowns for Jacksonville, and just a guy who, in Trevor Lawrence, rookie quarterback last year, who had a mess around him with Urban Meyer and everything down in Duval. He comes back this season, and yeah, they're 6-8, but he clearly has something clicking there with Doug Peterson. Again, they come back, and I think it was a pick 6 on Dak Prescott at the end of that game to seal it for the Jaguars. But I don't know. What did you catch that game? What'd you think?
Yeah, they could win the division. Honestly,
I,
they're a game
yeah,
behind Tennessee, and I had their schedule up. They beat them last week, and they play them the last game of the season. Like that could be for the division. And yeah, Trevor Lawrence is playing awesome football the past month. He's
yeah,
been turning it up. So good for him. Maybe he got that Urban Meyer stink off of him finally, and
yeah.
yeah, they look good.
I forget
Jaguars.
who it was. Yeah, it's crazy. I forget who it was. Someone in Jacksonville. I think it might have been a special team or something a few weeks ago. Just asked about Trevor Lawrence's improvement this season, and he literally just looked at the guy asking the question. He was like, "Dude, he had Urban Meyer here last year. Like, what do you expect?" So, yeah, good stuff down in Jacksonville for him. Going off the theme of lone leads, going from Patriots to Dallas to Tampa Bay, where Tom Brady now falls to 6-8. I think they had a 17-point lead on Cincinnati early in this game, and Joe Burrow just keeps doing Joe Burrow things. He only threw for 200 yards, but he threw for 4 touchdowns to 4 different players as well. So that team continues to just roll and fight through adversity, and that's a team that New England now has to face off on Thanksgiving. Jeez, where's my head at? Christmas Eve on Saturday in Foxborough. So I don't know. Again, that was a game that we weren't able to see because we were paying attention to the Patriots. But from what I saw, again, just a meltdown. Tom Brady had a few turnovers, and since he just keeps rolling. So what do you think of that? Where they're at, and the Patriots' chances, frankly, next week.
Yeah, Cincy looks really good. Joe Burrow
Yeah, they
is
do.
awesome, and
Yeah, he is.
they're kind of hitting the stride. It looks like they did last year. Kind of getting hot at the right time. They're rattling off a bunch of wins. Their offense looks really good. Patriots are gonna have their hands full because
Yeah,
even they did a good job against Devontae, and say you have some success against Jamar Chase, well, they're gonna throw T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd
right,
and Joe Mixon at you, and those are like big physical guys too. It's not like Miles Bryant and
right.
Marcus Jones, John Jones. That's not like a good physical matchup. So they're looking really good. That should be it'll be interesting to see how the Patriots defense handles them. But
Right, it'd be a good
um,
test.
and Tommy, man, I mean, saw again. We didn't get to watch it. I saw some people on Twitter saying their offense looked better early, like they were actually running play action and motion.
Right.
But clearly didn't get the job done. So
No,
we'll
it's
see.
bizarre, and it's one of those things where I was talking about it this weekend with some of my buddies, where like even though they're so bad, and they look like incapable of clearly winning a football game, they're probably still going to end up winning the NFC South. They're probably going to host a home playoff game. It's probably going to be against a team like Detroit, and they're going to somehow still wind up in the NFC Championship game just because Brady's going to turn it on and
That's the thing. It's like
maybe figure
it's
out.
gonna be Brady versus like if it's Goff, and then he'll get like Brock Purdy in the next round, and then he'll get
Right.
Kirk Cousins primetime NFC Championship, and then Tom Brady's gonna be in the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
From what I've seen watching them, their offense is very bad. It's
Yeah, it is.
a lot of what's going on here. It's pretty similar stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll see if even Tom Brady can turn that around, but he has his work cut out for him clearly.
Yeah. Last one before we wrap it up. Lions at Jets. Lions squeak one out, 20-17. That was one of those games where it ended right before the 4:05 kickoff. So I basically had my thumb on the last button, waiting to go back to Fox as soon as that one ended. But Zach Wilson comes back for the Jets, and he made a couple bonehead plays. Again, he was back because Mike White got injured. He injured his ribs last week against Buffalo. But I hate being a Zach Wilson fan, Brian, but I kind of still like what he can do sometimes. Like, there's times he just shows flashes where it's like, in this game specifically, it was more. He didn't lose this game for them at the end. He might have lost it in the middle, in spots, but that last drive, he was just like conversion after conversion. He's throwing across his body. It looked like remember his Pro Bowl or
It was the
not
pro
Pro
day
Bowl,
throw. Yeah,
the Pro Day throw.
yeah,
He
it
made the
was.
Pro Day throw.
Yeah,
It's
I'm with you. I've always been a Zach Wilson guy, as stupid as it is, because
I know.
we've watched him especially because it's against the Patriots. Like
Right.
we just watch him just have meltdowns, but he clearly has the physical tools.
Hmm.
Like he can make plays happen with his legs. He has a really good arm,
Hmm.
but it just doesn't click mentally for him. And
Right.
it's one of those things I wanted him in the draft.
Hmm.
Um, and it would have kind of been interesting to see how he would have fit in with Bill if something clicks different for him, like on the mental
Right.
side of things, and maybe he isn't as errant or whatever. But yeah, he's got talent, but
Right.
it doesn't click for him all the time.
No, I'm with you. And there was just so much mismanagement at the end of that game. The Jets had 3 timeouts in their final drive. All they had to do was go and tie the game. And for some reason, Robert Saleh sat on 3 timeouts as like a minute and into the last minute expired, where they were trying to run up to the ball, get plays called quick, and I get that, but they burned so much time. And then at the end, they had to resort to trying a 58-yard field goal with Greg Zuerlein, who has been one of the better kickers this season. But again, it's like, why are you not? You got to be smarter than that. And I thought Saleh kind of had that, right?
Yeah.
He's a rah-rah guy, but I feel like he's also I haven't really seen much game mismanagement from him until today. And that lost them the game, because I think, they had it clicking on that last drive, and they just needed a few more plays to get into better range, and they didn't do it because of that.
Yeah, he went to the Jeff Saturday School of Clock Management, I guess.
Yeah.
It wasn't again, like you said, we were flipping. It was ending right when the Patriots were started, so didn't catch all the details. But yeah, just they had 3 timeouts and they just didn't use any of it.
Right.
It was weird.
Yeah, it
I
was
agree.
bizarre. But so I mean, originally it looked like the Jets losing to Detroit was going to help the Patriots cause. But again, the Patriots drop it to go to 7-7, so they're sitting in the same boat as them. I guess we should touch on it quickly. Because you mentioned it, the Jeff Saturday School of Clock Management, because what the heck happened yesterday with the Colts? NFL Saturday, the Colts go up 33-0, and then Matt Ryan does Matt Ryan things, and the Vikings come back and win 39-36 in overtime. Crazy game, a game where I guess since it's a standalone Saturday game, you can call it primetime, and Kirk Cousins originally looked like primetime Kirk Cousins all over again, but then he came to play in the second half. Justin Jefferson's a monster. The Vikings, I don't know what to make of them because sometimes they're so good, sometimes they're so bad, but they end up pulling these games out of their hat, and uh, they look like they're going to have a top 2-3 seed in the NFC playoffs.
Yeah, they're so hit or miss.
Yeah,
It really is weird. It's probably because they're led by Kirk Cousins,
yeah,
but
I know.
but yeah, that was Matt Ryan, man. He just
It's
he's got
crazy.
he's he's got to hang him up. I think he's
I don't know how you can sit there and blow a 25 point lead in a Super Bowl 3 years ago and then let yourself do the same thing and even worse this year. And is it the coaching? It seems like it's the coaching around him in both of those scenarios. It's not all on Matt Ryan. I mean,
no, but
Kyle Shanahan now is one of the better play callers, one of the better coaches in the league. But at the time when he was Atlanta's OC, that was sort of on him where they botched that game. And again, it's 2022 and we don't need to go back to it, but that seemed like a botched job. And now the Colts, you talk about it, Jeff Saturday's there. He was in the ESPN booth 5 weeks ago. Parks Frazier is their offensive play caller. He's in way over his head. And clearly it was a disaster and they lose by 3 in overtime. That's around the NFL. Let's put a bow on this thing, Brian. Do you have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
I'm still just trying to process what just happened.
Me too.
Never seen anything like that. I mean, I'm trying to think of stuff that could even be like comparable. And like I thought of maybe like the kick six, but
Right.
that wasn't like a bonehead play. I mean, I guess if you want to say like maybe they shouldn't have kicked the field goal,
Or
but
like punt cover. Yeah.
yeah, but like it wasn't just I don't know. It's I just don't have words for it. That was
It's hard. It's hard to process. I don't know if we'll ever be able to process it again. That's why, it's good to get on here and do an instant reaction right after kickoff or right after the whistle blows. But I mean, what more do you say other than that's just exactly what the Patriots have been all season long, wrapped up in a bow in one play. A Mac Jones flailing in the air, getting bulldozed by Chandler Jones, sitting there. Go check out the picture on Twitter if you haven't already. Mac just sitting there, basically in a butterfly stretch move with the Raiders behind him celebrating. It's terrible. It's a disaster. I think Mac deserves better, even though he wasn't great today. And again, the Patriots need to figure it out because what happened today is a fireable offense. I don't know who gets fired. I don't know why. I'm not going to go there. I don't think I've said Bill's on the hot seat before. It's tough to say because it's Bill and he yada yada yada. But something has to change, or else things are going to get real around here. That's my take. So, again, Patriots lose 30-24 on a Chandler Jones fumble return touchdown. The Patriots fall to 7-7. They are now out of the AFC playoffs, AFC playoff picture rather for now. Make sure to follow our friend Brian Hines on Twitter at I am Brian Hines. He writes for Pat's Pulpit of SB Nation. Brian, thanks for filling in for Alex today. Me and Alex Barth will be back on Tuesday to preview or break this thing down even further. Make sure to check out for that. I don't know. We'll maybe
good luck.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll internalize it a little bit further and give the Patriots beat guys what they want. But again, a tough showing. Patriots fall out of the AFC playoff picture and lose in dramatic fashion. So again, Brian, thanks for joining me. Follow him on Twitter. Read his stuff at Pat's Pulpit. He does a great job. You can follow me on Twitter as well at Mike Kadlick. You can check out my 5 takeaways from this game at clnsmedia.com. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching and clean your